So hello everyone and welcome. This is the Building Your First Power Apps session for Scottish Summit. Before we get started, I would like to give a shout out or acknowledge our sponsors. Without our sponsors, this event would not be available. So very much appreciate the efforts of our sponsors. So jumping in, my name is Joe Camp. I am a product manager on the developer advocacy team for Microsoft, and my focus is on Power Platform and Power Apps. Been in this role for about 7 months, so I'm still learning a lot every day. You can follow me, at least my Twitter credentials are Joe Camp 13, or you can also connect with me on LinkedIn. And so in this session, what we're going to do is we're going to build an app. It's an inventory tracking app. We're going to be using Excel Online as our backend or as our database, and then connect that to the Power Apps Studio. The Power Apps Studio is going to do some magic behind the scenes and build a an app that is ready for us to use. And then we're just going to reconfigure and change some things around to make it a little more to our liking and what we want to do. So this is what the app is going to look like, or something very similar to that. We're going to be given 3 screens. We'll be given a browse gallery screen, which is basically a summary screen of all the information within the Excel spreadsheet. And then we'll have an inventory or a detail screen, and that detail screen will be the detail information of each line item within the spreadsheet. And then finally, we're going to have an edit screen, and that edit screen is going to be something that's going to allow us to change the data within the line items of each piece of inventory. So let's see, I think what I'm going to do now is I'm going to switch to my Power Apps. And so I have open already my Power Apps Studio or make.powerapps.com. And what we're going to do, like I said earlier, is we're going to use an Excel spreadsheet, Excel Online, as our database. And Power Apps is really great in that, and the Power Platform in of itself is there's a lot of capability of connecting to a number of different databases. I think the number is over 350 at this point. Kind of out of the box, you can click in and connect. Specific to, like I said, what we're going to be doing is Excel Online. SharePoint is another great tool to connect to as a free database. And then, of course, within the family of Power Platform is Dataverse, which is a database that you can tie into. We're not going to talk about and go into SharePoint nor Dataverse. I know that there's a number of different sessions at Scottish Summit that address those. So what I'm first going to do is I'm going to open up my OneDrive and look at some spreadsheets that I've already configured and built so that we can work. We're not going to get stuck on inputting data. So I'm going to look at the Scottish Summit, and then I'm going to go to Summit Demo version 4. And this is the spreadsheet that we're going to be using. And so as you can see, it's basically just a basic spreadsheet. I've got 6 different pieces of inventory for this demonstration. These are jackets, some t-shirts. We've got color, gender, size, current count, event allocation, and event name, which we'll fill in later. Original count, which is the original count of what we had, and then image. And in this column, this is going to be where the files for the pictures of each of these pieces of swag will go, and we're going to add those pictures in just a moment. One of the things that's pretty important with respect to this is we Power Apps, Power Platform pull data in two fashions, one in tabular and one in functional. And in this case, because we're using Excel, we want to convert this spreadsheet into a table. So we're going to click anywhere within the spreadsheet, and then we're going to format as a table. And so let's see, we'll click OK. So now we have a nice table. Now one of the things that we also want to do is we want to name this table. And naming the table is very easy. And the reason we want to name this table is because Power Apps is going to want to know, is going to want to pull information from the specific table. And so we're just going to click on Design. And when we click on Design up in this upper left-hand corner, you can name the table. And so we're going to name this table Inventory. All right, so we're good there. And now we're going to close this table and spreadsheet, and we're going to go into our Power Apps. And now what we're going to want to do is connect our Power Apps and Power Apps Studio to our database. And there's a number of different ways that you can build an app. You can build an app from blank, which is a Canvas app, where it's basically taking, it's the equivalent of looking at a screen, a PowerPoint slide that's blank, and then you're going to start building off of that. In this case, it's taking a screen and then you're just going to start adding components to that screen. Another way is to let the Power Apps Studio generate the app for you, and that's the one thing that we're going to do. And so what will happen is I'm gonna connect to the Excel Online, our Excel spreadsheet, and then Power Apps will generate a 3-screened app for us, and we'll configure that accordingly. So let's go ahead and jump into that. So I'm going to click on Excel Online, and this is connecting now, looking for our information. Okay, great. And so now what we have in this left-hand corner are connections, and these are basically some data connections that I've used in the past: SharePoint, Common Data Service, which is now Dataverse, and then my OneDrive for Business. So if you recall, when we pulled up the OneDrive for Business, and we saw a number of files here, and so these are the same files that we saw when we pulled up the OneDrive for Business. We're going to look at the Scottish Summit. We'll click there. Excuse me. And then we're going to click on the Summit demo number 4, which is the demo that, or is the spreadsheet that we're going to be working off of. And now it's asking us to choose a table, and this is where the idea of wanting to name that table comes into play. As you get more proficient with building apps, you may have 4, 5, 6 different tables that you're pulling from, and if you don't name them, they'll just be named table 1, 2, 3, and 4 by default, and that's kind of hard to figure out. Well, what does table 1 mean? What does table 3 mean? What's the data within there? So it's important, at least from my perspective, that from an ease to go ahead and name that table. So I'm going to click on the table of inventory. I'm going to click Connect. And when I click Connect, what's happening is, in the background, Power Apps Studio is looking at the data and looking at the fields or the column names, and then building a 3-screen app based off of those column names. So this is maybe taking a little, it's almost done, so we're done here. So I'm going to click Skip. And so now what we have is a functioning app. This is very similar to what the end product is going to look like prior to us making a bunch of changes. So let's look at these. Let's look at what we currently have. So we have 3 screens: a browse screen, which is a summary of all the information, and we're going to change this information around. And then we have the detail screen, which is the line item information of each piece of swag, and then the edit screen. Okay, and so what we have here in this tree view, and this tree view is fantastic in that it helps us to navigate the different components within the screen or the workspace that we're working off of. And so another thing to look at, and something that I alluded to earlier, is I alluded to looking at a blank screen as PowerPoint. And one of the great things about Power Apps is you're taking your understanding of Excel and the ribbon and taking your understanding of PowerPoint and applying those and leveraging those skills into building out this really cool and functional application. So if you look up on the top, you have this tab that says Home, and though these are grayed out right now, you can see that this ribbon looks very similar to what you see in Excel. And then you have an opportunity for insert, where you can insert a bunch of different tools and things, view, as well as action. And so now what we want to do is we want to just look at this screen and just kind of preview it. And one of the things that the Power Apps tooling provides is a preview button, which is up here on the right hand corner. So I'm going to click on preview button, and these are some of the buttons that the Power Apps Studio already puts in play for you, which to me is fantastic. As somebody that's not a coder by education, this helps me a lot. And so this is again the screen, initial gallery screen, and we have a button up here on the top which allows you to create a new piece of inventory. I'll just click on that just to show you, and it shows a form. And then when you fill out the form, which we're going to do that later on, there's a submit button, and this is going to write this information back to the Excel spreadsheet. And then for now we have this cancel this item, so this will take us back to our initial screen. We also have this button here which will allow us to, when we click on it, will allow us to go to the detail screen of that specific piece of information or that specific piece of swag. This button will take us back to the list, and this button will take us to the edit screen, which is fantastic. And this will allow us to, when we click on it, this will allow us to go in and we can change some things around. And so now that we're in this environment, one thing that I do want to add, and I talked about earlier, is adding pictures. And so what we're going to do is go and click here on this image file, or excuse me, this click to add a picture, and I'm going to do that, and that will take us to our pictures with that's picture folder, which is on the on your laptop. And so we're just going to add these pictures, and so I'm going to click submit. And this may take just a minute or two, but I think it's important to walk through the process. And as you can see, this dynamically changes and updates the summary page or the gallery that we were looking at earlier. So I'm going to go through this as quickly as my internet connectivity will allow me to do so. We'll go here. This is blue. These are the blue puffer jackets. We'll click here. Click on here. This will take us here. We're halfway done. I mean, it's just, to me, this is really cool and really easy. Now, another thing that I'm not gonna touch on, but which is really neat, is once you build this app and you have it resting or tied to your phone, you can add pieces of swag, in this case, to your inventory through your phone. And as part of this, you can take pictures of that swag. So it would be, you would get to this screen here on your phone, and then in this section where it says tap or add a picture, there will be an option there for you to use your phone, which I think is just, I mean, it's so fantastic. And I know I'm maybe sounding like a salesperson, but it just makes it so easy to pull information in and update things. Okay, so we're almost done here. We have one more. Yep, one more. Click on add and click on submit. Okay, and so now we have the images of all our pieces of swag. And so now I'm just going to go over here to the right to this X button and back out of here. And now we're back to our workspace. So now we have pictures of all of our swag. We have some other pieces of information in the gallery that doesn't make a ton of sense to me. What we want to do, one thing I do want to show you, this is fantastic, is your ability to change the layout. And so what I've done is I've clicked on Browse Gallery, and over on the right hand side, you have the option of changing the layout. Now we're going to keep the layout as it is. It's perfect. But if you pull that drop down button, you have a number of different options that you can pull from blank to image, title, and subtitle with picture. We're using the image, title, subtitle, and body so that we have as much information as we can. So I'm not going to change anything here. I just wanted to show that to you. Okay, so now what we want to do is we're going to change this information to have a little more relevancy to us and what we're trying to do. Now, one of the things with respect to this is this first piece of information here. These values, like black and 200, and then this empty value down here, as we change this, it dynamically changes everything else within the gallery. So that takes a ton of time away from having to go in and update things. So now what I've done is I've clicked on black, which over here on the left hand side is named Title 1. And one thing that I do want to share, as you get deeper and deeper into building out apps, one thing that a number of people do to help with not make things as confusing as possible, make things confusing, is you can rename these, all of this. You just click on the ellipsis here, there's 3 dots, and then a drop down will come up, and you can rename that so that you'll now know that Title 1 is actually, whatever we're going to change this to. Or you can actually go into the Browse Gallery and you can change this as well. So you could change this to Inventory or Inventory Summary. So a lot of availability and a lot of opportunity to change things around. So now what we want to do is, within this data card or within this piece of information, this is up here in the toolbar, this function, this item dot color. What that means is this item means it's going back to the Excel online, our spreadsheet, and it's pulling the information from the color column. And so what we want to do is we want to change this around. Obviously, I don't like that. I'm going to change it to name. You can just go in and change it to name, and as you can see, the IntelliSense is pulling up this information for us. So I'm just going to click on name, and so now you can see that I've got t-shirt, t-shirt, puffer jacket, so it's automatically and dynamically changed that for us. And then we have here current count. Current count makes a lot of sense. That's something that I want us to see. And then down here in the bottom, it's pulling event allocation. In event allocation, that's something that we haven't done yet. We haven't allocated any swag to anything yet. So what we want to do is change this, and we're going to change this to size. Okay, so I just go in and clear that out. I'm typing in S in size, which is one of the names of the columns, and hit enter, and as you can see, it's large XL and such. And so now the next piece that I want to do is I want to center this information. And so you can do this a couple of different ways. You can click on the cell itself, and you can go over to the right, and where text alignment is highlighted, you can click it here, or up in the ribbon, you can click here and you can click center. And so we're going to do that. We'll go back up into the ribbon. We'll click center for all of these, and there. And so now what I want to do is I'm just going to make the font a little bit bigger. I'm going to go back up into the ribbon. I'll make it 24, and I'm going to make the current count 22. Oops, 122. 22. And we'll do the same for size. All right, so that's looking a lot better. Now, inventory. Inventory in this upper column here, or in this banner, inventory is just the name of the table that we built and that we're using. So I want to change this to be a little more reflective of what we're looking at. So you can change this a couple different ways. You can click here within this cell and you can type in summary, or you can go up into the toolbar, you can click here and then you can add summary, or you can go over here to this text section and click and type in summary, which is what I'm going to do. MAR. And so now we have inventory summary, so now we have a better reflection and understanding of what's in this information. So this all looks pretty good. The next screen that I want to clean up is the detail screen. So on the left hand side within the tree view, I clicked on detail screen, and I'm going to open up all these folders and some things that we currently have. Here we have inventory. Well, I want to change this, so we'll go in and go back and do the same thing that we did on the browse screen. I'm going to change this to inventory detail. And then what I want to do is I want to highlight this entire card or piece of information here, screen here, excluding the detail, the inventory detail, which is it's the detail form 1, which highlights this whole thing. And so now I'm looking at this, and there's a couple things that I don't like that I want to change around. One is the sorting of the information. I don't like the order, so I want to change that. And then the other is, it looks like there's some information missing, which the information is size. And so we want to add size to that. And so over in this right hand side, we have something called fields, which all of these are fields. And we're going to edit the fields, and then we're going to add the field for size. Okay, and so now we have all the data that we want, and next we want to, excuse me, we're going to want to change some things around to make this look a little make a little more sense. So I'm going to, and it's as simple as just dragging and dropping, which is fantastic. So we're going to click on name, because I want name to be at the top of the column, on the top of the list. So it's just name. And then we have color, current count. Let's see, I want original count under color. Okay, so now we have the puffer jacket, we have the color green, original count, current count. And then we'll just put size up on top of image. All right, so we have that done. So let's just go ahead and preview what we've done thus far. So this is as simple as going back to the preview button. We'll click on the preview button. We'll go back to our summary page, our inventory summary. We have, excuse me, we have pictures of all of our swag. We've changed the font around a little bit on the t-shirt. We have these named as name, we have the current count, and then we have the size. And then we'll view an item, so we'll look here. And so now we've got the name, t-shirt, color, current, or excuse me, original count, current count, event allocation, on down. So good. So that's looking really good thus far. I'm going to close out of that. And now what we want to do is go into our edit screen and do the same thing that we did for the detail. So we're first going to look at this inventory. I'm going to want to change that to just say inventory edit. And then we're going to want to highlight all of this information. To highlight all the information, we go edit form 1. We click on edit form 1. Now everything is highlighted, and we're going to change some things around in here. It looks like size is missing in this one as well, so I'm going to click on size, add. Okay, so we have that information, and now we're just going to change some things around to be very similar to what we had in the detail screen. So I'll put name up there, and then we have color. We'll go original count under color. We'll change the size there. Okay, so that looks good. Let's just make sure that this screen matches the detail screen, and we'll go back into preview mode. I'm gonna click here. Let's go over one. Okay, so we have color, original count. Oops, let's see here. We have name, color, original count, current count. So I'm gonna click on the edit screen, or the pencil to edit, just to make sure we have name, color, original count, current count. All right, so all that's looking good. I'm gonna close this. Go here. Now, one of the things that I want to do is I want to add a little bit of mathematics to this, because as we allocate information, or as we allocate swag to various conferences, you know, obviously that inventory is going to get diminished, and so we want to make sure that we know when we're looking at our app what's the most up-to-date piece of information. So to do this, we are in the edit. We're going to need to get into our edit screen, and I'm going to open the folders, or excuse me, the edit form 1 up, and this is where it is helpful to name some things, but we'll figure this out. And so what we want to do is we want to look at original count, current count, and event allocation. And the math is going to be in this current count. It's going to be original count less event allocation. So what we want to do, I just want to make sure that I understand the cards, because this the naming convention. So looking at original count, if I click on that, that says delta card, or data card value 15, and then when I look at event allocation, that is data card value 11. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go into this data card for current count. We're going to need to unlock this cell. As you can see right here, it says car. There's a lock here. We'll go over to the right hand side. We'll click on advanced, and advanced, there's an option to unlock the cell properties, which is what we're going to do. And now we're going to go into our formula bar, and we are just going to type a simple function, sum, and then we will start typing data card value. And as you can see, it's pulling, the IntelliSource is pulling all of this, the respective pieces of information. So we were looking at data card value 15. So we'll just click on that. We're going to go space, minus, space, and then we're going to type in data card value 11, which is this one. And then we'll hit parentheses, and then we're going to hit enter. And so now this should be a functioning piece of math, and let's just test it. So let's go back into the preview app, and let's see. So we're in the inventory edit page. So I'm going to allocate, let's say 75 shirts. And as you can see, the current count has done the math for us. We're now at 125. We were at 200. And just for the sake of of going through this, we're going to allocate this to Scottish Summit. And I'm going to click Submit. And so now you can see here, this t-shirt was at 200, it's now at 175, so we now have the information that we want. But now let's just make sure that this information was written back to our Excel spreadsheet. And so I'm going to go back into my OneDrive. I'm going to open up the Excel spreadsheet. And as you can see, it's coming. So here we go. And here's the information right here. This is what we just added. So this is all working famously, working really well. And that kind of, I'm going to close this. That leads me back to, let's add a, let's go into our app and let's add another piece of inventory. And so that's as simple as clicking on the create new item. So we're going to create new item. We're going to add some Power Platform, oops, you want to type stickers. Well, these will be yellow, original count of 1200. We're not allocating any of these. There's no gender involved, no size involved, and the picture will pull from our picture file, and then we'll click Submit. And as you can see down in the bottom, here we go. It's as simple and as easy as that, which is fantastic. Okay, so oops, I don't want to do that. I want to click cancel or close. So we now have a functioning app. So now let's add one thing to this app just to make it look kind of cool. And what we're going to do is we're going to add a new screen. And so in the home button, in the home tab up here, there's a new screen option. So we're going to click new screen. This new screen is going to be blank, and that's what we want to do. Now, as you can see in the tree view, what has happened is the new screen has been added, and it's been added at the very bottom. What I want to do is I want this screen to be the very first screen that you see when you open up your Power App. And so what I'm going to want to do is just click on the ellipsis and then move this thing up. Maybe, I wonder if I can just drag and drop it up. Nope. We'll move it up again, and then we'll move it up one more time. Okay, so now that we have this new screen, what we're going to do is we're just going to kind of make it as our landing page for when we open up our app. So one thing that I want to add first is I want to add a picture, and we can do that by going into Media, go to Image, and the image is here. What we're going to do now is over on this right hand side it says search for a property. Let's see, I think what I want to do is actually I want to go into properties, and I'm going to search for image, which will be a drop down, and it'll say add an image. So we're going to add an image, and I'm going to go into my pictures, and I'm going to add this picture of me, and it's pulling that picture into the screen. It's taking a little bit of time, but it's going to be there. And here it comes, here it comes, here it comes. All right, and so now I'm just going to rearrange this so that it takes up most of the screen. There, and then, so now what we're going to do is we're going to have a title, and from a title we're going to label it, and we'll just click on the button that says label, and this label comes up. We're going to have this come all the way across the screen, And what we're gonna change the text in here to say Joe's if I can learn how to type, inventory app. And let's see, we're going to want to center this, so we'll go back into the ribbon under home. Actually, we can do it over here, text alignment, center it. Actually, I need to learn how to type. We'll keep it as is for now. Actually, let me go ahead and change this. Inventory app, there we go. We're going to change let's see, we'll go back in here, type it. We're going to change the font to, I don't know, say 26, make it a little bit bigger. So now we have an app. What you can do if you want to, you can change around the coloring, the background. Back in here, just like with anything, you can change this around. So, but I want to add a couple things real quick, and that is a couple of buttons. And the buttons will allow you to move around and get you to various pieces of the app that we're building. So we're going to go button, click on a button, and we're going to change this button to change the name to summary. And then what we want to do is we want this button to navigate to the browse screen. And so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go into here and I'm going to type in nav. I'm going to start with nav and see it says navigate. And then I'm just going to click on browse screen 1. And then let's just go ahead and test this real quick just to make sure that it's working. So we'll go into the preview and we have summary and it takes us to browse screen 1. Fantastic. Let's see, I'm gonna close that. Let's go back. And then one thing that I do need to add to the browse screen 1 is it needs to be able to take us back to our screen 1. So actually what I'm going to need to do is I'm going to change, so I can have a little bit of space here, I'm going to change this inventory naming convention to just summary. We'll click there, and then let's see, let's do this, shorten that, and then what I want to do is add an icon that'll take us back. And so you can add an icon real quick to, let's see, where is the icon that'll take us back? Right here. We'll click on that and we're going to put it there. We're going to change the font or change it to white so that it's consistent. And then we're going to click on here and then we're just going to click on and type in again navigate to screen 1. Okay, and so now let's just check and make sure that that works for us. We'll go here, and I know the UI is kind of yucky, but I wanted to show the abilities. And so now we can just click on back, and it'll take us back. Okay, so now lastly, what I want to do is I want to save this. Let me move this around just so that it looks a little cleaner. Save this to Power Apps because this does not auto save, and so you need to be saving things. So I think we've got a lot done here. What I'm going to do now is click on File, and when I click on File, it'll take me to Settings, and we're going to name this app. We'll name this app, Scottish Summit demo 4. And then you can add some icons to the app to help identify the app in your list of applications. I'm going to have a star, and then we'll have this color coral. And so now what I want to do is save it. So I'm going to click save. And then down here, it's going to ask me, do I want to save to the cloud? Or up here on the left hand side, I'm going to want to save to the cloud, so I'll click save there. And it's saving to Power Apps for us. And then it's going to ask if we want to share, if you click on share, what this allows you to do is, as the app developer and app owner, you have the rights to dedicate or indicate who has access to the app inside your Office 365 tenant. And I'm just going to click cancel for now. And so now let me close out of this, and let me just show you that this is actually saved. So we're now still in our Power App. I'm going to go to Home Page, and we have our Power App landing page here. I'm going to go to my apps, and within my apps, Scottish Demo 4. When I click on this, this is going to push me into the play mode. And it's pulling it up for us. Got the nice coral with the star, and here's our summary page. And then from there, we can click on that and dive right into our app. So fantastic. So everything's working very, very well. And if you want to go back in to edit the file, you can, or edit the app, you can by just clicking on more commands, and then you'll click on edit. And then what that'll do is take you back into the Power Apps Studio, where you have the ability to edit your file. And just remember that you're going to need to continually save those files, or it's not file, but save your application as you're changing some things around. Okay, this is taking a little bit longer than I wanted, but I'm just gonna, let's see here. I think there we go, finally. Okay, good. So now we're good. Now we're here. Fantastic. Okay, so that's the end of this demo. Let me switch back to my PowerPoint. So we built an app that has these functioning screens, and we also added just for fun, we added a splash page or landing page for the app. And I think this is great. This is a fun thing to do. Now, as we finish up this class or finish up this session, I want to share some homework for you all. A couple of things. One is we built out a Power Platform Udacity course. Within the course, you walk through nuts to bolts, or from the very beginning, where you're going to set up your own you're going to set up your own Power Apps subscription in a test environment, and then through the course you go through a number of different classes, a number of different hands-on type of labs, and then at the very end you walk away with a functioning app. And then some stuff that's really cool is there is some AI component in it, which is really fun. It takes 8 to 10 hours to get it done. It's free, and I highly encourage you to do this. Secondly, from our perspective, we built out a LinkedIn Power Platform job board. This is a great tool for surfacing your skills, understanding what's out in the job market, and we have 700 plus people who are members, recruiters, as well as Power Apps and Power Platform focused folks. And then lastly, to learn some more, I encourage you to look at the coursework for the PL 100 certification. You don't have to necessarily take the class, but it's go to this site. There's a ton of information on how to build your skill set to learn Power Apps. So with that, we're done. I hope you're having a great time during Scottish Summit, and look forward to seeing you on the internet. Thank you.